Hello and welcome everybody. Hands of Love, Messages and Healing. Paula Darch here. How are you all today? Well, I have got a special guest here tonight, Samantha-Jayne Love from Infinite Love Connections. So Sam and I have been on a bit of a journey together over the last probably 12 months especially, which has been absolutely amazing. But I will tell you all about that just in a minute. So I just wanted to welcome everybody to Hands of Love, Messages and Healing. We give Alex once again our love and blessing. He is in Melbourne currently. So Alex, I know that he will probably pop in at some stage during the night and say hello to everybody anyway. So as I just pull up the page here, so that I can see who's joining us tonight as well. So hello, beautiful Melanie. Hello, Francine. Hello, Olivia. Please let us know who's watching tonight as well. We really want this tonight to be very, very interactive as well. So that was Olivia with that hi, Sam and Paula. So tonight we wanted to really touch base on creation and pain, and we're going to be doing this on like multitudes of different levels as well. Hey Jenna, hi Natasha, hello beautiful ladies. So what I do when I say is for everybody watching this right now and everybody that will be watching this on replay, just doing a big trigger warning here tonight. Sam and I will be talking about a few things here that can actually trigger a lot of people and what have you through the creation of like the womb space and also through love, pain and our personal journeys as well as we both share some things tonight. So this is a trigger warning. I am letting everybody know it can be the things that we'll be going to be talking about tonight can be quite emotional and can trigger people. So just pre-warning people that yes, we are talking about miscarriage. We are going to be talking about loss as well. We're going to be talking about the creation of sexual pleasure and pain, but we're not going into like too much juicy detail. But we do want to just give you the big disclaimer tonight that we are going to be talking about some touchy subjects and trigger subjects. So please be warned, we are going to be talking about a few things tonight. So I just want to welcome Caleb as well. Hi, Caleb. Thank you very much for watching as well. So without further ado, I just want to introduce Samantha-Jayne Love as our beautiful guest here tonight. Samantha and I have been on a beautiful journey where Sam actually came and met me just over 12 months ago at the academy, and we just hit it off straight away. And we just knew that there was a special connection there, but really didn't know where it was going to take us. Forward stepping about 12 months, and Paula was running retreats again this year and last year. And what has been beautiful is that Sam has actually been able to travel from Melbourne to my retreats in March and also July this year. So yes, they were both this year. I had to think then, Sam. I'm like, hang on a minute.
It's been a long year.
Stretched out. So Sam has been a facilitator on both of my retreats this year, which I am eternally grateful that Sam has been able to travel from Melbourne to actually be with these women and also really give them so much healing, but also, also supporting me as a practitioner as well. So Sam, eternally grateful. Thank you so much. So without further ado, Sam, would you like to tell everyone about you, about Infinite Love Connection?
Hello, thank you. Yes, when I did walk into the Healing Heart Academy, Paula and I literally did just hit it off. I was back in Adelaide. I grew up in Adelaide, and I was I've just had a separation, so I went back and I was living with my mum and my stepdad with my two girls, and I was looking, I was refining myself on a different level again. And that's when I met Paula. I have been working in the spiritual scene, I suppose, for 20 years, I would say, probably 25, probably 25, really. But, I've always known, like, we've always talked about ghosts. We've seen ghosts. It wasn't hush hushed in our family. There was always some sort of ghost in our house, or there was, there was always something. And we grew up with a churchy background as well, and I just knew that there was more. I do remember, saying certain things when people passed as well. I was like, I must have been getting messages or seeing them, and I just, you can only remember certain things of when you were smaller, but I just remember being really attached with the people that had passed. And so brings me to, I was a very rebellious teen, very rebellious. That's a whole other podcast, probably 3.
Never assume that of you, Sam.
things you must not try. And, because I was a rebellious teen and did a lot of, let's just say, risky behavior, it has put me in certain positions where it's put me on this path. I remember a friend of mine at one party giving me a rose quartz, which, for anyone who doesn't know, is a pink crystal. At the time, I was partying so hard, I turned it black.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was a moment where I had to really check myself, and I started going, all right, what is it that I'm going to do with my life? And it went on from there. I probably, when things go wrong for me, I don't just eat chocolate, I buy crystals. I'm like, they are literally everywhere and everywhere, literally everywhere. I have done energy work, I've done Reiki, I've done all of the things. And I remember being 16 and all I wanted was a baby. I wanted something to love so much.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I was getting pregnant. They just weren't sticking.
Yeah.
And, we all jump on the pill because we want to monitor when we're going out and, when we're getting our bleed as well. That's another bit of it as well, because I wasn't appreciating my bleed. And from that, I kept getting pregnant and they were never sticking. I've had a lot of miscarriages, and I think a lot of people have probably had miscarriages are not really known that they've had them as well. They're very, very, very common. And depending on when you are miscarrying and if you, it depends on the pain level, et cetera, et cetera. But when your body has been pregnant as many times as mine has, it's just like, happy days, we're doing this again. And it doesn't matter the length of the pregnancy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, your body's like, pregnant, not pregnant. So all of those not pregnant. So once you birth, you go through your, hey, oxytocin, love drugs, yay, and then bang.
Yeah.
So every time pregnant, yay, bang. So I've been doing this roller coaster ride of all of that. I have tried pills and all sorts, and nothing was working. And so I found breathwork and tantra and feminine practices from the East instead of, because I was about to start injecting myself with hormones. I don't like needles. That's how much I wanted a baby. So I was like, and I don't know about everybody else, but those IVF hormones make a girl cray cray, like beyond cray cray.
Yeah.
And it's not a great thing for your relationships, because all you're doing is going crazy. You're ticking on a clock. It's not pleasurable. It's let's do this now because I want to get to the end part and I don't care about you. So it's not an intimate thing that you're doing anymore. It just comes back to that. So from wanting to have a baby, I actually was getting checked by all the doctors. I went in and they were checking for endometriosis. They knew that I had cysts on my ovaries and everywhere else. I also had 21 Bartholin cysts.
Oh, wow.
So a Bartholin cyst is in I'm going to say the word flap. I'm sorry for anybody that doesn't like the word. So they're glands that help with juices there. I had mine always on the left side, the feminine side of my vulva. And what happens is it becomes a cyst and it looks like you have a ball, literally. So they either, you can take antibiotics for them, or they have to be sliced, or they pop. And the closer
that's Olivia.
that'll come soon. I didn't even know who that was. I know. That's a whole topic in itself.
We're not going there tonight, Olivia. Like this isn't that word.
That'll be next week if you want. So, and
Jenna's taking the piss now.
I know. I'm just like I'm like trying to come back to topic. And so what they found was that I had a fallopian tube that looked like a split sausage on a barbecue. So they went back in and they took that little sucker out. And unbeknown to me, I'm thinking, oh my God, I must not just get my period because the fallopian tube's not there, because I hadn't even been thinking about it. I was just in recovery mode. But when I went to get checked, I was actually already 3 months pregnant with my little angel, because I hadn't thought about it, because it was like I'd got to the point where I wasn't wanting to be, like I wanted to be pregnant, but I was always knowing that it was just never going to happen. Or if I got pregnant, like I did get a pregnancy positive, that, you know, I don't get my hopes up too much in regards to that.
Yeah.
And from doing the work and the breath work, I just loved it. And I found something that really worked for me. So that included sitting in circle with women, talking about the problems and the challenges that we face as women. You know, there used to be things called red tents, which we don't have for when we're on our cycle. And, you know, there's just so much that's an annoyance. Let's take the pill. Let's not have it. Oh my God, I hate it. Hating on our body. So essentially, we're bullying ourselves every month. So I wonder our beautiful creation station, that's what I call the womb space, is going, well, you know what? I'm not going to play. If you're going to hate on me, I'm just going to check out. So I'll let everything else take over.
Yeah.
And I just continue to learn, to have knowledge. I've been having processes come through remembrancing from other lifetimes of the things that have worked, and I literally get out of my own way, because every time, even when we've done retreats, I'm supposed to be doing one thing and I get there and I'm like, we're not doing that today.
Every time.
Every time. Literally, it's always something different. So one of the retreats, the medicine drum wouldn't even work. So Spirit's like, right, you're going to sing into each one's womb. And each song that came out for each woman was different, in a different tone, and that's what I love being able to do, is to be able to work with individual women and also in a collective, and to make this magic happen. And that's the creation. And that's bringing in, you know, the power of coming together as women.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, you just, I love that in itself, you know. And one of the things you were saying, Samantha, was, you know, red tent, where's it gone? You know, like, I know there are like some women's circles and stuff like that, but red tent a few years ago was quite huge, and then it's disappeared. I actually haven't heard of a red tent circle in South Australia now for like probably the last like 5-6 years, and what have you, which is really, really sad. And one of the things that, you know, is that whole essence of who we are, and that is, you know, when we are in pain and everything like that, we then don't want to have creation. We don't want to have, you know, we hate ourselves. We hate our womb space, as you were saying. And you know, I had suffered from stomach aches since I was 12 years old. I actually didn't start my cycle until I was like 15 or 16. So I was quite late in actually my cycle, but I was actually having stomach issues when I was very young, when I was 12 years old. And the pain was just there, like, you know, all the time. And the older I got, the more pain I was in. When I was 18, I was in so much pain, they thought that I had appendicitis. So put me in hospital and, you know, took my appendix out. There was nothing wrong with my appendix, but they didn't actually check for anything else. A year later, I lost my first baby. And it was through losing my first baby that I actually got very, very sick with losing the baby. And they put me in hospital and did a laparoscopy. And that was my first laparoscopy. And for the people that have already read my book, you would have, you know, read this story. But what was really hard for me was I was 19 years old, and all I wanted from a very, very, very young age was exactly the same thing. I just wanted a baby. And, you know, I did childcare so that I could actually sit with the babies. I was like, I started like being a babysitter when I was 12 years old, so I could sit with my friends, like, well, with my parents' friends' babies. You know, so, you know, I became a nanny so I could have a baby without having a baby. And, you know, my whole world was around but wanting to be a mum. And when I lost my first baby, you know, I was laying in hospital in so much pain, and I was laying in hospital by myself. And all the doctors and all the nurses, all they kept on saying is, it's for the best, dear. It's for the best. It's for the best. It's for the best, you know. And then they put me in, you know, in hospital, finding out that, you know, number one, you know, yep, baby's gone. Number two, I had such severe endometriosis that they basically told me then and there at 19 years of age that I would probably never have children. Mm-hmm. But they put me in a ward with babies being born. So here I am, I've lost a baby, I'm being told I can never have a baby again, and my whole world like was completely and utterly crushed in like a matter of 7 days, because my whole existence of life, all I wanted was a baby. And, and that pain, and that creation of that thought of that had been ripped away from me. Within 16 months, I landed up having 4 surgeries, 4 laparoscopies, because the endometriosis just kept getting worse and worse and worse. My bowel was attached to my fallopian tube. I had many cysts rupture. And I also found out that I had cervical cancer cells as well. So I had to have a procedure, within like a couple of weeks of actually losing the baby, because, so it was like surgery. And every time I had surgery, of course, more scar tissue, and I was in more pain. And boy, oh boy, did I hate my body. I just absolutely hated my femininity. I hated, I hated the pain that I was in all the time. I hated my struggles. I hated the fact that, every surgery they basically said to me, nope, that's it. No chance of having a child. You're screwed. It's completely stuffed up, and what have you. Forward stepping to, my relationship, my long-term relationship, fell in a heap after 7 years. And we separated. I, went out and partied hard, got drunk every night, and what have you, met a much younger boy and fell pregnant. And it was the last thing on my mind of like even thinking that I could possibly be pregnant, purely because for for 4 years, I'd been told I couldn't have children. So, it was like, well, this isn't possible. And then within a week of finding out that I was pregnant, I started to bleed again. And I'm like, well, that's it. That's done. See, that's, that's me done. And so put back in hospital, and they kept me in hospital for a week, and then made sure that my levels were coming up. Unfortunately, my creation center doesn't like holding those babies once they're actually in there. And so my body actually produces massive blood clots, and it actually ruptures the placenta and the umbilical cord. So even though, yes, I had my beautiful son very early, very, very tiny, and what have you, both of us were like quite at risk, because I was, I had been hemorrhaging for quite a long time, which they didn't actually know about. Forward stepping 10 years, had many, many, many more surgeries, and I was just about to actually have a full hysterectomy. And so I was in the process of going through counselling and what have you to have that full hysterectomy. And the gynecologist that I was seeing at the time had put me on an implant to actually prepare my body to go into full menopause at 33 years of age. Somewhere along that time, within those 4 months of those implants, I convinced my husband that if we were to come off of the implant and to fall pregnant, then it was meant to be. And so we did. And within the first month, I fell pregnant. But once again, the pregnancy was absolutely horrific pregnancy. And once again, my body decided to blood clot even more, and what have you. And I landed up very, very sick and hemorrhaging very, very badly. Both my son and I almost died. And forward stepping 12 months from that, within those 12 months, my endometriosis came back with a vengeance, so severely that, sort of I was bleeding every 5 days, and then I'd stop for like a day or two, and then it would come back. And so for that 12 months of after having my son was even more horrific with the endometriosis. So I finally got another gynecologist and convinced him to actually do a hysterectomy for me. But because I was only 33, they wouldn't do a full hysterectomy like I wanted. because they didn't want to put me into full-blown menopause. So the doctor actually did not want to do the hysterectomy because I was only 33 years of age. But I basically turned around to him in one of my visits with my 12-month-old baby and said to him, "You don't do this, I will go and kill myself," because it had got to the stage where the pain was so severe all the time. Having a 12-month-old baby and two 11-year-olds, I couldn't do it anymore. I literally could not live life anymore. I was so deeply, deeply depressed. And I didn't want to live. I really just didn't want to keep going through any of that. So finally convinced him to actually do the surgery. The funny thing was that he did the surgery after much, much, much of his not wanting to, but he did do it. And while I was in recovery, he actually rang my husband and said, "I am so glad your wife is so persistent, because legally I would not have been allowed to leave her medically the way she was, because I was completely and utterly screwed." It was just a mangled mess in there. And so they took everything they could, but one of the ovaries he dangled because they took the fallopian tube. Unfortunately, forward stepping another 15 years, and that ovary that he dangled all of those years prior actually became entangled in my bowels. And I landed up becoming very, very sick last year, and having to have surgery that actually put me in quite a bad state once again. Why am I telling you all of this? Because this is part and parcel of creation and pain. What I didn't realize was that over the years, I have had significant trauma to my womb space. And I honestly didn't put the link to endometriosis being an autoimmune disease. And I also didn't put it down to trauma. And it wasn't until I actually did some really deep healing last year did I actually discover all of that trauma and discover all of that. What I had to really do in that period of time of being in severe pain, once again, after having 15 years of no pain, to being in such severe pain for almost 2 years, I had to love myself, but I had to love my womb. I had to love my creation, and I had to start to love who I was as a woman. Because what I had realized over, that period of time, over the last couple of years, where I guess I knew more, I understood more. And so it was really, really interesting how many women were coming to me for womb healing. And, and it was like, wow, this is really interesting. And how many women had miscarriages, and how many women had, sort of held on to that miscarriage, and how many women had sexual trauma or trauma in itself. They had birth trauma. I didn't address both of my birth trauma until, just recently over the last 2 years, where I was able to actually, really go into that birth trauma and do a lot of healing work on that. The interesting thing over the last week, though, Sam, is something that I found out about my feet. And this has absolutely blown my freaking mind. So I have had severe pain since I had my hysterectomy, since I had my ovaries removed in September last year. Within a day or two, the pain in my feet became so severe that some days I can barely walk. I'm just in so much pain with my feet. I had been and had treatment with my feet. I had been to podiatrists. I had been to chiropractor. I've been to osteopath. You name it, acupuncture, massage. I've done all of this treatment on my feet. Well, anyway, I was having lunch with my mum for her birthday in August, and she said to me, she goes, Paula, have you tried reflexology? And I'm like, oh my God, why have I never thought about reflexology?
Thanks, Mom.
Like, yeah, it was just, it was just so, and it was so bizarre for my mum to even say it. And hey, Sarah. And what was funny was I'm like, oh my God, why haven't I thought of that? Reflexology, that's what they deal with. Anyway, I landed up having my first reflexology session last week on Thursday. And I said to the lady, because like going back, I have always had problems with my feet, especially my left foot. I have had multitudes of stress fractures. I've had multitudes of like injuries with my left foot, right? Now, this is something that also it's been really interesting. I did my my birth chart, and I don't have earth in my chart at all.
Stop
None.
it. None.
Zero.
No.
Not even a 0.0001.
Next retreat, we're planting you in a pot.
So I don't have earth in my chart at all. So I find it extremely hard to be grounded. Well, anyway, I said to the reflexologist, I said to her, look, I've always had pain with my feet. I had to have, like, even as a baby, my mum had to go and buy me the most expensive Ollie Ashitons because my feet couldn't go into any other shoe. I have just always had like issues with my feet, but as I've got older and since I had the surgery last year, the pain has just increasingly got worse and worse and worse. And I said to her, I really believe there's something here that I haven't been able to get my hands on. Anyway, she put the instant that she put her hand on my left foot, she goes, I just want to love it. Now, the left-hand side of your body is your feminine. The left-hand side is your spirituality. The left-hand side is everything to do with any woman that's been in your life. Left-hand side. Now, the left foot is extremely painful. So anyway, she puts her hand on my foot and she goes, I just want to hold it. I just want to love it. She goes, it's got no love. It's got no love. Where's the love? She goes, it's got no love. And then I said to her, I think that there's a past life that's associated to this because I just feel like I can't move forward. And I said, I've done everything else and everything like that. And she said, yep, past life. And she could see it. And so she just said to me, okay, close your eyes. And we went on this beautiful journey. And I actually had a shackle from the 1800s. And it had the actual shackle was welded around my ankle, my left ankle, and bolted into a wall. I was in Ireland. I was a little girl and I was in the slave trade. And so I was absolutely petrified to leave. And I was absolutely petrified to, like buck the system or step on it or step forward or, I couldn't move forward. Yeah, exactly. Can't move forward with a sore foot. Exactly, Olivia. So the interesting thing is that my left foot has been my issue and my problem my whole life in this current life. So her and I went on a bit of a journey, and I actually went back to that lifetime and I rescued the little girl, and I actually unshackled the chain and actually took off the soldered metal, and around the actual ankle it was blistered and like it was so swollen and so sore, and I could see all of that in my vision. And so I got a Angel Michael, and he came and picked me up, wrapped me in the cape. We took off the actual anklet and took her away. It actually took me 3 days to communicate with her, to just keep on letting her know that she's safe and that she's, that she can move forward now. The other thing that was really, really interesting was that I've got swelling on the top of my right foot at the moment, and I've had swelling there for the last probably the last about 5-6 weeks. I've got swelling at the top of my right foot, sorry. So I just asked her what each point was on your feet. Now, here's the thing, women. If you have any pain around like where the ankle bone is, then you've got all of that flesh, and then the base of your foot, so your heel, all of that area. Hang on a minute. See if I can get my foot up. I probably can't.
Go on. Do it.
Do it. Right. See this part here? Right. No, this part.
That part there.
And that part. Right. Either side of the ankle bone. Right? Either side. Now, that is your sexuality, femininity. That is your womb space. Now,
most women, if someone touches them there, they'll either go, oh, but if they touch a little bit harder,
yeah,
they will scream in pain.
Yep. So here you go, ladies. Touch either side of your ankles and see if it's in pain. Because if it is, guess what? There is a definite healing that needs to be done in those two areas. Now, here's the fascinating thing, Sam. 4 years ago, I got put in a moon boot because that area of my foot, my left foot, and that area of my foot, I got told by the doctors and the nurses and the bloody podiatrist and all that sort of stuff, I got told that it was broken. It wasn't broken.
But isn't it funny that they say that it was broken, and when over the years and in society, when we're in hysteria, like women used to get hysteria and we would be put into, homes and have all of this thing because we were broken. That word broken is really attached to women. Men are never broken. Women are broken. And it's that it's not that we're broken. We're disassociated from our essence, from our sexuality, from our creation station.
Yep.
We can work on that, Melanie. We can work on that.
Absolutely. So Sarah just said,
Sarah, we can definitely come back to that. That's a whole other.
Come back to that. I was going to say cutting cords is a whole other subject to that as well. So, but as soon as she said to me, as soon as she because she was massaging that area of my foot and I was going through the roof again. And I'm like, that's what they kept on telling me was broken. And I'm like, I still have the same pain, even though it's now 4 years down the track and it's still the same bloody pain. It's just the fact that it's not swollen and all that sort of stuff. And she just said to me, she goes, that's all of this area. And I'm like, oh my God, Paula, why did you not have reflexology before?
Because we only know what we know. And interesting, sorry, I'm just, as you're saying this, and that's our feet. And, I've always had sore feet as well, and I'm a Pisces. So interesting enough, I'm in this field.
Yes.
And that particular, I know that I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to, and you breathe through it and you're like, oh, yeah, that feels, no, it doesn't feel good at all. And you're like, and you get to that point and you're like, yeah. But interesting enough, mermaids, do they have feet? And what are they called? The sea sirens.
Flipper.
Very interesting. And a lot of things when you talking about sensuality, dolphins are sensual. A lot of the sea animals are a sensual type of animal, and they don't have feet, do they? So it's a very interesting sort of thing. But coming back to what you were saying, that you've always had the pain.
Yeah.
And it's, yes, we can have it from a different life, but hopefully everyone can everyone see my little very talented drawer I am?
Beautiful.
So when your mum will be a baby growing in your grandmother,
Yeah,
you are already in your mum.
that's right.
So anything that your mum or your grandmother is going through, you're already experiencing that as well. And that's
Yeah.
without even thinking about the DNA from
Yeah, all those lifetimes.
all
Yeah,
those lifetimes as
yeah,
well. So
yeah,
you literally physically experience it from your
yes,
grandmother
yeah,
while you're while your mum's in pregnancy mode. So
yeah,
it really freaks me out. So anything my grandma was experiencing, and my grandma had difficult births as well. She had
yeah,
to lie down a lot. She was, for back in the day, she was an older woman. When she was birthing, she was 33 when she had my mum, which doesn't seem old these days. But back,
yeah,
my mum was born in 58, so she was 30 before she had my auntie, and then so for back in that day, that was old
oh, yeah,
because they were
yeah,
just like, no, you have babies when you're little.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and then, yeah, so my mum was younger and then I was older because I had,
yeah,
all of the miscarriages. So by the time I got pregnant, I was birthing when I was 40. So but
yeah,
all of that time, so I was always, experiencing all the different things that
yeah,
they experienced as well.
yeah. And it's really interesting when we actually think about, like, looking at that whole context of, what you just like shared, and I've actually shared that with our audience before. And what's really interesting, like, from like my mum is the eldest of six, but
Yeah,
my grandmother was pregnant 12 times. So my grandma, so my mum was the eldest, and then she was the one that had to then look after the babies, but then Nana, because granddad was always out of work, so my mum had to look after my grandma when every time she, lost the
fell
baby.
pregnant. I lost the baby. Yeah,
She had to look after her siblings because she was the eldest and that was her responsibility.
yeah,
Um, and my mum has quite often said, like she actually said to my sister and I once, like we were 18, 19, going out, partying and what have you. And my mum was married and had two children by the age of 22. And my mum had also miscarried a very late gestational baby as well. And in those days, like, it wasn't talked about. It was my mum actually gave birth to the baby in her hands. She was told to go and put it in a brown paper bag. Took it to hospital. She went to hospital, didn't come back with anything. There was no mention of the baby. And unfortunately, my nana's suggestion to my dad was to clear out everything. So my mum was 5.5 months gestation when she actually lost the baby, and what have you. And she came home to nothing. That baby didn't exist. And so, I've actually done a lot of grieving work for my mum, because I know that I carried, through, the womb space. I've actually carried a lot of my mum's pain. And both my sister and I have also lost children. I've lost two, and my sister's lost one. And I know a lot of, my cousins and stuff like that. And it's really, really interesting because my nana always had issues. My mum always had issues. All of my aunties had issues. And all of my female cousins have now had hysterectomies. Before, like most of them before the age of 40 or just after. So you can then see, and one of my cousins has had like cervical cancer. And so you can actually see the family heritage line where, like, you know, sort of how many of like the family members. So mum had 4 sisters, and
Yeah.
and 2 brothers, and their children. There's been quite a number of girls, and they've all had issues with womb space. All of
Yeah.
them. There is not
Yeah.
one that hasn't. And now I'm finding out that some of their children have also got endometriosis, have also got, you know, pox, you know, and all that sort of stuff. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting how the family heritage line has like gone down, and what have you. So
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's only really it's our line, and you know, if we talk to our mum and if we talk to our grandmother, like, but before that, they didn't talk about it. You just got on with
exactly,
stuff.
yeah,
But you know, I've got the same in my family. My sister, you know, cancerous cells. The other one, you know, bad periods, terrible periods.
yeah,
Hers is connected with her thyroid as well. So the thyroid as well connecting it in with the womb space, even though your thyroid's up here, but your throat is very connected to your sacral chakra. So
yeah,
that works in together. My mum's had a gazillion different things. She's just had a very big hysterectomy as well, lots of scar
yeah,
tissue, lots of drama, and you know,
yeah,
I think we forget that, you know, our uterus is this big, 7 centimeters, I think, and it can expand to this big. So
yeah,
you know, our all of the organs get pushed and pulled and pushed and pulled, and even if we're bloating during cycles, that's pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling. And if there's
yeah,
pox and there's this and there's that, we don't even, that's even before we're talking about any other trauma. That's just what
that's
our
right.
body's doing to us.
Yeah, yeah, yep. That's just part of being who we are.
That's just, hello, oh, I'm a girl. Oh, but you
Oh,
know,
yeah,
like, I have 2 girls, and once you become a mum, you never can shut the door to the bathroom again. And I know that there's some mums out there and they're like, it's your time. I'm like, there's just no time. But what we talk about is mummy's got the bleed. Mummy's got the bleedy. Oh, okay. Does it hurt, mummies? We talk about things. So ever since they have been able to talk
yeah,
and articulate, so each time there's different questions, and it's a normal in our family now. Like, it's
yeah,
literally a normal thing where we talk about all of these things. So we're
yeah.
just and celebrating it, and
It should be
um,
celebrated. Do you know what I
totally
mean? Like,
celebrating. And I just say to them, Mummy's not feeling that great today because Mummy got the bleeding today.
yeah,
um, and I'm just going slow. I'm letting my body go slow today, and just because that's what our body wants to do. Our body wants to go slow. That's the point of having the red tent, so that we could go
yes,
and we could sit and we can bleed. And if you allow your body to sit and just be slow for those first couple of days, it will
yeah,
pass quickly. And
yeah.
then, and I've just, you know, I wish I knew this stuff earlier.
Me
I,
too. Oh,
I
you know,
do.
like
Um,
I look at, you know, sort of everything that, you know, I'm 48, and everything that my body has, you know, sort of endured in the 48 years, and what have you, you know, like I look back and I go, oh man, I wish that I had, you know, I wish that I had a circle to be into. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just,
yeah,
you know, when I had the hysterectomy, uh, the first part of the hysterectomy when I was 33, I I knew like it was my choice. That's what I wanted. But oh my God, did I cry? Like, I couldn't stop crying like for weeks. Like, before I had the surgery, I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And I was fortunate enough to actually be involved in a red tent, going back quite a few years ago now. And the lady that was actually facilitating the red tent said to me, have you grieved for your womb space? And I'm like, what do you mean grieve for my womb space? And she goes, well, have you grieved for it? Have you done a ceremony? And I'm like, of course I haven't. Like, no one told me to do that. No one, like, and what was really interesting was when I had the surgery last year, I actually asked the surgeons for my ovaries.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't give them to me.
Yeah, it's a health issue.
Yes. So, because I specifically said, can I have them, please? I said, I'd really appreciate if you could actually put them in a little specimen jar, and I want to take them home, because what I wanted to do with them was actually do a planting ceremony. And this is something that is very much, done in so many parts of the world. And that is a beautiful ceremony when a woman actually finishes her cycle, and all that sort of stuff, or if she's had a hysterectomy, or even if she's given birth. Placentas are actually planted.
Yes,
and
that's what I did with mine as well. And it's interesting that they put the placenta now in it's one of the toxic waste bags. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
It's like, this is not toxic waste. It is what's been nourishing my baby.
Yeah. And they just like throw it out with, the garbage.
Yeah.
But, and again, sort of, if I'd had, different pregnancies and all that sort of stuff, like for Taj, I wasn't even awake. I didn't get a choice what happened to that placenta, and what have you. But, and I didn't know what I knew, 26 years ago when I had my other son. But I think that it should be, something that is given a right to a woman that, would she like to keep that? Is there, is there something she wants to keep? Or, for myself, who had a hysterectomy, I know and I understand the medical part of it, but it was my choice. That was something that I wanted to do a ceremony with. So I landed up having to pick something out and do it that way.
It's interesting how, like, the medical model is so, like, you can't bring any of that spiritual stuff into the medical model. We're going to cut you open, we're going to take it out, and you're going to feel better.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Sorry.
It's not actually, it's not the answer to it. It's just like, we're going to, when you're looking for fertility, we're going to take this out of there and we're going to take this out of there. We're going to put them together and put them back in there. And that's how we're creating now.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called definitely seen as piece of meat. And I think that's, women for so long have been seen as a piece of meat. I've just started watching on Stan, The Winter King. Very brutal, very horrible. But, essentially women we just had to bear sons. Otherwise you were gone.
And if you had a female, well, you were killed. Like, not allowed to have female children, not allowed to have little girls.
Yeah. So just the funniness of how much it's been passed down, and how the special messages from the Magdalena line, from the Isis line, from all the lineages of the woman. And so if you do any reading whatsoever into any culture, how the women would tell the stories and hand down the knowledge of different things. So it's interesting how in a lot of our society, Western society, how that knowledge, the woman's knowledge, anything to do. Sorry, I'm reading. Do you feel that, Chris? I don't think necessarily that there would be trauma attached to being an IVF baby. I just think, oh yeah, and that it could be something that you feel yourself, and that's something that you could definitely look into and to do a cleansing in regards to that as well.
Yeah.
A lot
We
of
can we can most definitely look at that, Crystal. And just replying to Francine, I heard recently too that menopausal women were locked up because they were classed as crazy. Yeah, and this is what Samantha was saying before. Like,
that was the
it
hysteria.
was actually called hysteria. But here's something like, okay, putting a big disclaimer out right now, guys. Big disclaimer. Do you know that through the menopausal women, the vibrator was created because a doctor actually, and you can research these people. So yes,
It's true. It's actually true.
So it's actually true. Like, because women that were actually going through hysteria, there was one doctor that was actually doing a certain act to help women with their hysteria, which was like a menopausal thing. And his hand got sore after a period of time. So he created an instrument, and that's how the vibrator was made. So there you go, people. You've heard it here on the.
Yeah, so instead of giving us electric shock to the brain, they started giving us electric shock to the real brain.
Exactly. Pleasure and pain. See, creation and pain.
Pleasure and pain.
So, Sam, I'd like to hear from your point of view, creation. Like, sort of, how would you share to our audience here today about the creation through pain? Because I feel like, it's creation and pain, but I feel like there's been, I want to change that, and I want to just say it's creation through pain, because I do feel that, sort of through pain, we actually have a lot of knowledge and wisdom come through, like, as well. And, when we don't actually allow ourselves to actually feel because when we look at the word creation, so I think people will go, well, how do we create? How is there a creation in the womb space? So, Sam, how would you explain that to people?
Yeah. So the best way is the old butterfly. So a butterfly needs to go from the chrysalis, and it needs to go through the pain of pushing its way out. And that's what a baby does essentially, is pushes its way out through your birthing canal. And so with the butterfly, it needs to go, it needs to break through. And if you help a butterfly, it actually doesn't fly. The wings don't get its energy. It doesn't do all of the things. And when we're talking about creation, yes, we're talking about babies right now, but there's a lot of women out there that create, but it doesn't have to be another human. It could be creating a passion project. It could be creating a new, I don't know, there's a lot of artists that have never had a baby before, but they have created amazing works of art. Julia Childs could cook like a fiend, never had a baby. She couldn't have a baby, but she created beautiful pieces of work. And through her pain of not being able to have babies as well, she found herself in the kitchen. So I think that sometimes we take the things that are painful for us, and that's how we create things in a better light. So I know that he was a man, but Edison, it was probably burning his fingers on the fire, lighting the thing with the kerosene, tipping it over. Kerosene gets up your nose. If it got on your fingers, get it in your eyes. Not a fun time for anyone. That is what I call pain. he kept creating. And I know that we're talking about women creating, but our creation center as well. Men have creation centers. It's our sacral chakra, and even in the base chakra. And that's why when we're talking about the feet, that's that area as well.
Yeah.
So if we want to create something, we need a blank slate. So if you're creating a new artwork, it's best to start on a new canvas. You can go over an old canvas, but you're going to have to use a lot more paint or a lot more this or a lot more that. I know that when you're sculpting with clay, they like to use fresh clay. Otherwise, the other clay has been, I think it's been kneaded too much. I haven't made a clay piece for a very long time. It's like if you're kneading dough when you're making bread, you can over knead it as
That's
well.
right.
And it doesn't go tough if it's over kneaded. So you got to just do things right. And sometimes when we felt pain, we want to move away from it because it's ouchy, it's terrible. If we've lost something, if we're grieving for something, if it's all of the different reasons why we felt pain. And pain isn't just a physical thing. It could be spiritual. It could be emotional. It could be, there's so many different layers to a human being.
Yeah.
It's not just the fleshling sack that we're looking at as well. It's our energy body. It's our life force. It's the emotions that we're feeling. And when we are in pain, physical pain a lot of the time is just trapped emotions.
Yeah.
Anger, sadness, grief, shame. Now, as women, automatically, we have 10,000 trillion bits of shame burst on us before we even burst out of the vaginal. Just because we're women, we feel shame.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of it. It used to be bad for us as teenagers. I'm glad I'm not a teenager right now, and I'm sort of not looking forward. Like, I've got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they're already talking about stuff that we used to talk about when we were teenagers. So by the time they get teenagers, hopefully, if I've had enough conversations now, the conversations will stop. It's
spoken about in school. Like, there's just so much from such an early age now that schools are actually talking about to like the young kids. And I found out the other day.
Not way either. And I don't agree with a lot of the things that they're talking about.
No. But I heard the other day, Sam, that schools are now doing sex education for 5-year-olds.
Yes, because we get to choose what we are.
They sorry. But that's just
they just want to know. They just want to know whether they can run around, and that's just about it. So it's I think that there's age appropriate things, and everyone's got their own opinion as to what is age appropriate.
And yes, they do have the internet, Francine, and and I mean, my granddaughter's 4. She could, like, from the age of about 2, she knew how to get onto YouTube and how to watch reels. By the age of 2. Like, she knows, like, if she grabs my phone, she knows how to, like, she just automatically finds YouTube. She knows how to go to reels, and she'll just watch the reels. And it's like, oh my God. So, as a 4.5-year-old, she knows how to get onto YouTube. And see, the thing is too, is YouTubes are on TV now. We never had YouTube on a TV. So you've got a YouTube on TV.
We were like MTV. That was it. It was like Girls on Film. And that was like, turn that off. It's too racy.
That's right.
We had Rage Night. That was it.
But now what kids have access to is just huge. It really is huge. And, you know, I was really horrified the other day, Sam. I have I was watching Play School, exactly.
Yeah.
Or Romper Room.
Hi,
Like,
Miss Jane.
I was watching Romper Room with, like, you know, with the big no with the
Yeah. Hi, Miss Jane.
hi, Miss J. And like he had the big pencil on his nose, and he'd do a drawing, and they'd have to guess what he, like, you know, and the big mirror. And what do you see? That's what we grew up with, Mr. Squiggle.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh my God, loved Mr. Squiggle. Whereas today, like, our kids are exposed to, like, so much more, and it's not censored. You know, like, it really, there isn't a lot of stuff that's censored. And I've got a page on Facebook, and which is my spiritual school in Adelaide page. And I haven't posted on that page for probably around about like 2-3 years. And the other day I got a notification. So I went in there, and it was a pornographic image on my school page, my Adelaide school page. And so I'm like, block, delete. And then another one came up, and then another one came up. And I'm like, so I scrolled back down, and there was all these pornographic images. And I was in the Flinders Ranges on the weekend, and I was having a look at Flinders Ranges pages. And lo and behold, this same image was, like, on the page. And I'm like, how are Facebook not deleting that? How are they allowing for that to actually be on the, like,
it's ridiculous. And it's some of the, like, on the reviews, and people go in there and they're like, I get, because I've got infinite love connection, which is, you know, essentially just feeling the love within yourself, feeling it right in your womb space, and being able to be intimate with yourself. It's into me, I see.
Yes.
And I get this, Dr. Love from South Africa, he's the witch doctor. I'm like, oh, delete, block.
Delete.
Delete, block. Spam.
Oh, the Bear in the Big Blue House I love Bear in the Big Blue House.
So good, Bear.
What's the Moon song? Bear in the Big Blue House, and he sings to Luna Moon.
Oh,
what's the Luna Moon song? You remember the Luna Moon? Jenna, what's the Luna Moon song? He sings to the moon every night time. I loved Bear in the Big Blue House when Taj used to watch that. It was such a beautiful show because I loved him singing to the moon every night. Yeah, I can't remember either. But anyway, if anyone knows the song to Goodbye.
It's actually called Goodbye. We're all going to get off of here and start Google searching Big Blue House Goodbye song.
Yeah, the Goodbye Luna Moon song. Yeah, that's right. He used to say good friends goodbye. Yeah, we'll something like that.
Put it in the comments underneath.
Yeah. Yes, we can find it tomorrow, Jenna. We'll sing it together tomorrow.
Oh, I love it. Video it and put it in the comments.
I will. Olivia, Jenna, and I are catching up tomorrow, so we'll find the song, and we'll sing it and send it to you, Sam.
Love it.
So what I just wanted to Sam and I are just going to pull a collective card for everybody tonight. We're not going to pull cards individually for everybody. What Sam and I would like to do is we would like to draw a card each for a collective. And then Sam and I are going to take you through a guided meditation tonight. And we don't know where we're going to take you just yet because, as you know, with myself and for the people that have met Sam before, we are intuitive healers. Therefore, we are guided to where and what we need to do. But it was really funny because I was preparing for tonight, and I'm sitting here, sitting here, and I said to Sam, I'm like, my hands are on fire. And then I said to Sam, I'm like, we need to do a healing, and we need to do a meditation tonight. And she's laughed, and she goes, that's what I just got too. So both of us were very connected with that message. So what I just wanted to say is stick around. And and we're just going to pull one card collective for everybody that's here, and then we're going to take you into a bit of a guided meditation with creation and pain with our beautiful topic. So Sam, when you're ready, if you'd like to be our guest tonight, so if you'd like to pull the first card.
There she is. Interesting. Joan of Arc. So I am from the Divine Feminine Oracle from Megan Waterson. Joan of Arc. She is the warrior of light. I have steel-like faith in myself. The angels armor me with conviction.
Oh, thanks, Mel. Beautiful. All right, so Spirit have just drawn out a card for everyone here as well tonight. Just going to, it's card number 66. Oh, sorry, it's on page 66. The card for you all tonight is fill up your well. Retreat, rest, and refuel. And the message of this is the most selfless thing you can do is to fill up your own inner well. When we are running around half filled, we subconsciously look to things and people around us to give us the nourishment and nurturing that we so deeply crave. Nothing can grow in barren lands. You are no good to anyone if you're running on empty. The feminine is bountiful, fertile, and rich. Tend to your own well and watch as the amount you have to give multiplies. If your inner well isn't full, you will find yourself craving things from the outside world to fill it. This is your body's instinctive way of reaching for the grounding and nurturing that we are not allowing ourselves. What nourishes you? What refuels your body? What is nectar for your soul? What brings you back to life? What is your secret medicine? What makes you feel abundant and fertile? Overspilling with life. It may be gardening, arranging flowers, getting a massage, using luxurious essential oils, snuggling up on the couch, hiking, sipping a good coffee at your favorite cafe, attending a women's circle, reading about sacred sites, spontaneous bike rides, walking along the beach, or yin yoga. What nourishes you is your medicine. When you give yourself the medicine that you need to be nourished, you nourish all those around you, for there is more than enough to go around. So the message for everyone here tonight is do something to fill up your well today. What a fitting message from Spirit as a collective for the topic that we've had here tonight to both those messages that that Spirit have given us. So what we're going to do now is just, if you'd like to stick around for this guided meditation, this is a bit of a healing. I'm just going to start it off, Sam, by getting everybody in a nice relaxed state. So if you'd like to just get yourself in a nice position, maybe put your headphones on and just start to close your eyes and take some nice big deep breaths and actually breathe in. That's good, Jenna. Good. Purge it. Burp it. And as we go through this healing tonight, you may find that your stomach might gurgle, you may burp, you may fart. Just go into complete allowance of that, because we're moving into that area. So as you do, just allow for your breath work so take a deep breath into your root chakra and breathe it up to your throat chakra. Breathe out from the throat and breathe it down to the root chakra. We're going to do 5 really good deep breaths, breathing up from the root chakra. So breathe up, take a nice big deep breath in, and breathe out from the throat down to the root chakra. Breathe it out. Breathing in from the base chakra, root chakra, up to the throat. And breathing out from the throat down to the root chakra. Breathing in through the root chakra. Breathing out of the throat chakra. And 2 more, breathing in from the root chakra, breathing right up through the center of your body. And breathing out. Breathing in from the root chakra. And this time, as we breathe out, I'd like for you to imagine you sitting at the base of a beautiful big tree. And as you exhale that breath, you're exhaling out through the root chakra and down into the roots of that tree. Just breathing now and connecting deeper and deeper with this beautiful tree. Sending the breath down through those roots and sending it down to Mother Earth, right deep down into Mother Earth, into her womb space. And as you breathe into her womb space, you now feel yourself being enveloped into a beautiful cocoon. And that cocoon is holding you safe. You feel yourself in this beautiful cocoon, feeling yourself connected into Mother Earth's womb.
And taking a deep breath while you're in this womb space. Held in that container within Mother Earth's womb. And we're just going to connect in with our own womb spaces. Seeing that space just underneath our belly buttons. And if you feel to, you can put your physical hands on that space. And just breathing in and sending your womb space so much love. It may feel a little bit clunky because you've never done that before. And that's okay. We're just going to breathe in. And every time, we're just going to breathe a little bit more love in there. In that container, within Mother Earth, within her womb space. The safest place you can be to explore your own womb space. Just seeing a light of pink and golden light coming in to your little cocoon, filling up the whole cocoon. This is universal love. Filling up the cocoon, filling you up. Just like your well from that card that we got before. Breathing with every breath, just that little bit more love. And I want you to have a little conversation with your womb space. Maybe just say that you're sorry. Sorry for all the harsh things that you've said to her. Sorry for all the things that you've put her through. Sorry that you didn't know any better. I'm just saying I thank you to her. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to bleed. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to create. Thank you for giving me the opportunity for pleasure. Maybe asking her, what would she like from you? She may show you in some words or give you a gift so that you know how much that she's there with you. Knowing that whatever happens in this container, that you are safe within this container. With that universal love flowing all around the cocoon. And just like a butterfly, I'd like for you to make your way out of the cocoon. I'd like for you, like Joan of Arc, in the warrior that she is, to fight your way from the darkness into the light. making your way out of that cocoon. Squishing and twisting, squeezing your way out of that hole. And as you emerge transformed, as you've taken one of the first steps to transforming your womb space. And as you get out on the outside, you start to flit your wings. Flit, flit, flit. Beautiful one. Welcome back. Through pain, we can become our most excellent self. And anything can be transformed. You thank Mother Gaia for holding you in her womb space. And you start to fly back. With your freedom to the light, coming back to this here now moment. As I count back from 5, you're going to come straight back here. 5, wiggling your fingers and your toes. 3, 2, taking a deep breath in. 1, stretching up, having a little shake. And coming back with your beautiful butterfly wings.
Woohoo! Beautiful. Lovely. So beautiful, butterflies. It's time for creation. Now that you have your wings, now that you have done that beautiful love to yourself, love to that womb space with Mother Earth, purging now. It's time to sit in this creation. So over the next couple of days, it's going to be really important for you to sit down, maybe a journal with a cuppa, with your wings, just closing your eyes, seeing your wings, and just allowing for those wings to really outstretch you, and everything. Because like a butterfly, they have to dry out their wings before they can actually set flight. So a butterfly actually has to actually just sit there for quite a number of days before it actually takes its first flight. Okay, so over the next couple of days, allow for those wings to dry off, allow for them to stretch out, allow for them to start to actually move into your creation and that beautiful creation center as well. Sam?
Yeah, and maybe even sitting in some sunshine. So butterflies actually don't fly when it's raining. They just don't. They can't actually fly when it's raining. So I don't know what the weather's like in Adelaide, but we're getting some not so good weather over here in Melbourne.
It's raining today.
Is it raining today? So if you can take moments of sunshine, just even if they are moments, and this is what doing this womb work is, not just let's get in there, let's rip it all about. Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful, Francine.
Yeah. And this is, like we could talk for hours and hours and hours about how to heal our womb space. And, it's not just one little thing that will fix it. It is those nutritious foods. Eat the chocolate if you want the chocolate. Just don't overindulge,
I had chocolate today.
So did I. But, eat beautiful foods. We're talking about, when we're talking about our sacral chakra, I like to eat strawberries. Is it red? So anything red and orange is good for that section down there. But listen, maybe just put your hand on your womb space and go, what do you want? What do you want? What do you need?
Yeah.
She might just want to go for a walk as well to clear the rest of her. Because if we're talking about coming back to the feet as well,
yes,
being grounded and being solid and being in a beautiful space is a great thing as well.
The girls come in.
No, it's my mom. She's got the midnight munchies for some chips. She's doing a double duck. She's like, I'm allowed.
Yeah, beautiful, Mel. Mel just said, I heard, look after her. I know what she's talking about and I will do it. Well done, Mel. And it's really important now that you've connected with that space to actually, listen to her. Because, when we do connect into that space, we then can actually find out what she actually requires. Castor oil on your womb space, a massage with like castor oil. If you haven't done that, ladies, I highly recommend that. You don't have to, you can do a castor oil pack, and I actually have done that as well. But I actually just went and bought some really good quality castor oil, and I just actually put it inside my belly button and then leave it inside my belly button, because your belly button is that absorber into your body. So, castor oil, massage oils, like essential oils.
Yeah, so the belly button has actually got more nerve endings than your, I'm going to say the word clitoris, and the end of a penis as well. So it's where your umbilical cord is. It's the first part of you that's actually created when you're an egg and a sperm getting created together. So just sitting it there, and the weather's getting warmer now, so you can leave your tummy out, massaging it around. You can YouTube, there's a gazillion, literally a gazillion videos on how to massage it, or just feel it. You don't have to do it the way that they're doing it is for digestion and stuff. If you just want to do it, be in the feminine of it and be soft with yourself. And that's probably the best, especially when we're talking about the womb space. But the womb space and the digestion goes a little bit hand in hand at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So, sort of and essential oils, I highly recommend essential oils. I mean, we've actually done a whole segment on essential oils here before. Highly recommend them, and what have you. Just, make sure you've always got a carrier oil with essential oils as well if you're putting them on as well. So guys, how did everyone go with their, we've heard from Francine and Mel. Did anyone else want to make a comment tonight about the segment that we've actually been talking about here tonight, creation and pain? We have gone into, again, we've touched on a lot of different areas as well. Is there any questions that you have for Sam and I? We've got a little bit more time. So if you would like to ask Sam or myself any questions, then please do so. If you'd like to respond with how you went with that meditation, is everyone back from their meditation, or are they still flying off it with their bike?
I feel like I'm just flying off. I'm just flying. Butterflies back.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're watching the replay, butterflies, please come back now.
Yes, please come back. Francine just said beautiful meditation. It was a beautiful meditation. And again, as always, our meditations are intuitive. They are guided by spirit. They're guided by your spirit. They're guided by our spirit to take you on the journey that you're meant to be on. And whoever's watching the replay, please comment. We still see the comments as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, I know there was a question earlier about cord cutting. Cord cutting is a whole different segment than what this is. So, but that person can message me privately and we can have a bit of a chat if you like as well. So, are there any questions for Sam or myself before we say goodbye for tonight?
And I'll just say that now that you've gone into the womb space, into Gaia, that you can start and take yourself back there. So you can just sit in a quiet space. And if you got ladies have little ones, do it if you can shut the door. If they've gone to do it in the car, you've just dropped them off at school. Have that little second. Close your eyes, park the car, turn it off.
Yeah.
Close your eyes, breathe into the womb space quickly, and just picture yourself, imagine yourself back in that cocoon in the womb space. Mother Gaia loves it when you come there. That is what she wants. She wants to nurture us that's, not only is she Mother Earth, she is our heartbeat. Our heart beats to her heartbeat as well.
That's right.
Now I'll get started again about the human resonance. And the more that we are going into her eternal womb space, it helps her to heal as well. So go there, just have a little quick moment. Do it if you're at work. Go into the toilet when, Jerry next door's been a bit painful. Come back into your womb space so that you're not reacting from your head space, coming back into your womb space, and you're going to respond instead of reacting as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the other thing too, if I'm really grateful, Mel, that you're going to do lots more healing on that womb space, because it's just so important and everything. So what, sort of as we've touched on tonight, creation comes from the womb space. It comes from the root chakra. It comes from the sacral. So, if you're wanting to create something in your life, meditate into your root chakra, meditate into your womb, into your womb space. For men, still go to your root chakra, go to your sacral chakra, because you're no different to what it is if we're a female. You've still got all of that area within your body. That's still your creation center. Okay. So yes, we've been talking about womb space and what have you, but for men, if you're listening as well, please know that this refers to you as well. And you can still go into that meditation. You can still go into, the cocoon. You can still go into that beautiful connection into, the sacral and the root chakra.
Because we all come from a womb. We all come from a womb as well. So it's about going back to the beginning, and it's almost like a reset when you go back into that womb.
And it's been really interesting, Sam, because over the last probably, I think, do you know what? I reckon it's been over the last 4 weeks. I've actually been doing a lot of healings for people of rebirth, actually taking them into their mother's womb, doing the healing and speaking to the little part of them that's actually still in their mother's womb. And it's been really, really present to be taking people back to that womb space and rebirthing them as that new creation without all of the mother's pain and the mother's energy and the mother's trauma and stuff like that. So, if there's things going on with your womb area, then, look into, sort of having the womb healing, that rebirth, because quite often, we're actually, as Sam and I've already spoken, we're carrying generations of trauma. And if they haven't healed it, which most of them haven't, let's face it, we are the ones that are coming in to actually release that. And I know that I've said this before, but like for me, I've got a granddaughter and I've got another granddaughter on the way. For me, like, you know, sort of it's really, really important. Like, you know, she didn't come from my mother's womb, like, you know, but they are the seeds of my son, which have come from me, which have come from, like, you know, my grandmother,
Yes.
my mother, you know, and stuff like that. So genetically, my grandchildren have still got the genetic imprints of me.
Still got that bloodline.
They've still got the bloodline. So the more work that we can do on ourselves, the better. You know, and it's for men as well. You know, I do think that, you know, men need to be taking that responsibility. But as women, giving birth to, you know, and all that sort of stuff, it's really important that we do the work for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren, and for the children coming, you know, because the children that are coming, boy, oh boy, are they going to be powerful kids. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally, Francine.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So Francine's just got here. At the moment, too many of us are recreating our lives because we have awoken to a new headspace and starting to listen to our own intuition. Absolutely, Francine, 100% spot on. And I do think that, you know, I do feel like we are also the generation to break all of those curses, to break all of that wounding, to break all of that trauma. You know, we have definitely come here in this generation to do that, so that the next generation can just get on with what they're here to do rather than having to have so much goddamn trauma. You know, so the more work that we can do, the more that we can actually help that next generation to do the work that they're coming in to do. So, which, you know, can be another whole topic altogether about the next generation. Very, very passionate about this next generation that are coming through. So, it is an incredible time to be alive and to be part of the change. Absolutely. And we've got to be looking at, you know, that as, you know, this is part of the creation. You know, we are here to create that future. We are here to create that change. And with the frequencies changing into like the 5D, the 5-dimensional earth, you know, we've got to let go of our ego. We've got to let go of our trauma, because if we don't, then we're going to carry that karma through, and, you know, it's going to be a harder process to step into that 5-dimensional self if we are still carrying so much goddamn trauma. So it's time to do the work. It's time to get on, and it's time to, you know, continue with that. So, guys, I don't think there's any questions for either Sam or myself. Sam, thank you so much for joining me on beautiful Hands of Love, Messages and Healing. I'm sure we would love to, love to have you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us from Melbourne. And what have you. If you'd like to get in contact with Sam from Infinite Love Connection, Sam, I have put Sam's page up on the Hands of Love page in all of the information as well. So please go to Sam's page, follow her page, and what have you. If you'd like to reach out to her for any of her services, please do. And for myself, you know where I am, so I'm not going to harp on about that. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Francine. Thank you everyone for sticking around with us. And for the people that are watching replay and for the people that are lurking in the background, Sam, we have a running joke right towards the end. We say hello to all the lurkers. Hi.
Hi.
You're there. Thank you for joining us. So, guys, from us to you, much love to each and every one of you. We hope that you start to stretch your beautiful wings out and start to create the lovely, amazing lives that you all came here to create. So, guys, from Sam and from myself, much love to you all, and bye for now.